Welcome to the Stream Queens podcast, where we review horror films and horror-adjacent films that you can stream on the internet. I'm your co-host, Rachel, and joining me is such a sight you want to see, Mars.
Aww. Based on this movie, though, I'm like, is that sarcasm?
I guess it's not quite the compliment it would normally be when it's like...
Context. Context is key.
Yeah. So, slight change to plans. I know in the last episode, we said that we would be covering the film Alone this week, but we'll be covering something else. That is entirely my fault because I picked the movie without looking at the calendar and realized we had already selected a movie. But don't worry, this is actually going to be amazing, and we will be covering that on the next episode. But tonight, we have something extra special. We're going to be starting a very exciting, I think maybe monthly, we'll work out the details, mini-series in the lead up to the reboot of this franchise later this year. We are going to be covering Hellraiser, the original from 1987. And to do that properly, we had to bring on the best. We had to bring on the brightest. We had to bring on the most prudish. Larry and Justin, here's Johnny.
What's up?
Welcome, guys.
Yes.
Yeah, what's up? I would like to say first off, I am not the prude one.
No, he is not. That would be me.
Proud prude, proud anti-prude. So how are you guys feeling about tonight? Are you excited? Are you excited to get your soul torn apart?
I have kept very quiet my thoughts on this. Even with Justin, we recorded last night, I kept things very close to the chest, so I'm finally excited.
He didn't give away anything.
I'm excited to discuss with everybody.
To unveil, to open up your own puzzle box of information?
Something like that.
Is it going to be called the Lament?
Oh, man.
All right, that's good.
Thank you. How about you, Justin?
I am excited mostly because the only films in this series I really remember are the first and second one. And then I believe it's the eighth one. It involves a house. I guess this one does too.
Are you sure that's not just the first one?
It involves a house party.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I actually worked at Blockbuster at the time that it came out.
Oh.
So I got to see it a month early. Unfortunately, it was not the lovable Hellraiser that I had grown to love. But yeah, I'm excited. It's gonna be fun.
I think we might have to do like a Saw kind of thing where we watch a couple of the good ones alone and then we just shove a few shitty ones together.
I don't know what you're talking about.
The ones where they're like movies that were just scripts they turned into Hellraiser movies, and then the ones where Doug Bradley's not even in them anymore.
So I haven't seen any of those ones. Those are the ones I'm probably the most interested in because, I mean, they're absolutely hated.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit bummed out. After I watched this, I did do a little bit of digging, not for future movies, but like just trying to look around. And I saw that Julia was actually supposed to be the big bad going forward, but people like Pinhead.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that is correct. She was meant to be the villain of this series, but the pop culture just grabbed a hold of lead Cenobite, as he is known in the first film.
Mm-hmm.
Misogyny! Awesome. All right. So I feel like we need a little warm-up question. So I have prepared a warm-up question for you guys.
Oh, man. All right.
Okay.
All right. At what point in the movie did the awkward boners begin for you? Was it hell? Was it Julia's tumescent shoulder pads? When did it happen?
Ooh, good question. Now, are you asking current Justin or teenage Justin?
All of the
depends
above.
on who has the better answer.
Yeah, there you go.
I have a feeling it's going to be teenage Justin.
I mean, listen, when I was a teenager, anything, right? I mean, that's how it is when you're a teenager. I will say the one thing I remembered from this movie was the Frank sex scene.
So apparently that actually got cut down. The original cut involved a lot more spanking and got an X, so they had to cut the spanking.
Well, thank you for taking my notes that I had, Rachel.
Oh no! I'm so sorry. I'll cut it.
Oh no, you leaving it in. I'm not saying.
I have to live with my shame.
Repeat it. Yeah.
So I'm very proud of you, Justin, for taking my question seriously. I did not expect answers.
Oh, of course, always.
So my answer to that will be very different. we talk about this a lot when we review the film properly, but I was prepared for like deviancy, and like just a lot of explicit sex and stuff.
Yeah.
This movie is not that.
No.
I told you.
At all. There wasn't like really anything sexy for me. We'll talk about this when we review it, but I was astounded by the gore.
Yeah.
Blown away by the practical effects and all the gore.
Yeah.
So on that note, it would either be Frank's strewn body across the room at the very beginning, or his initial crawling out of the floor.
So good. So that's what I mean. We talked about this before. I was like, it's like how I was scared to watch Saw. The thing you have in your head is not actually what you're gonna get.
Yeah,
like it's
I was always,
but it's not.
Yeah, I was always under the impression that like, the whole thing was like erotica wrapped up in a horror film, and it's not. It's really not.
Oh God, no.
No, I mean, it's inspired by the kink scene, like the queer kink scene in the 70s and ongoing, but that's not what it is. It's weaved into the DNA of the film, but it's not like just a lot of, whips and, chains, yes, but not so much whips. And I also watched all of Dragula with you. I was like, you're going to be fine.
Yeah. I mean, I'm going to see...
way more explicit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to see the Dragula live show, like... And we got like the meet and greet tickets. So like, yeah, I don't know. I just, for some reason in my head, what I had been told or what I had understood it to be was that we were going to get like a softcore porn mixed with like gore and like sex torture and shit. And that is not this.
No.
Somebody lied to you.
Yes.
I mean, also we're like a husk of what we once were as young people. And it's probably much more shocking when you were hearing about this as a teenager. Yeah, I don't know. Your love of Dragula and how that is so linked with like queer kink.
That's what got me hooked when I first watched it. It's like they were literally trying to push back against like the.
Not maybe. I'm just saying the aesthetics of it.
The aesthetics I love. The aesthetics I
that's what I
absolutely
mean.
love. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Right.
So what you're saying is this movie awakened
Dragula
something even further in Larry.
Oh my lord.
Oh no. The Hellborn heart unleashed. So how about you, Mars? Are you excited to talk about this tonight?
I am. I mean, this is the first time I've seen this movie too, and I've never
really?
seen.
Is it really?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought it was just me. Okay, perfect.
Nope, you and I both. And obviously I've never seen any of the other ones either, and so I wasn't scared of what I was about to see, but it definitely wasn't what I was expecting, like at all. So I'm excited to talk about it.
Interesting. As usual, Justin and I are the creeps on the show.
I know, right? How does it? Man, every time this happens.
Every time. All right. So, plan for today. We're once again going to basically just steal the format of Here's Johnny. I feel like it works best for us. We know what we're doing. Larry does math. It's great. We love it.
I have it all pulled up, ready to go.
Excellent. No, I never even asked you. Do you, when we do these, do you have a separate doc of hierarchy of movies, or do they just get moved into the Here's Johnny ranking?
Yeah. So what I do is, if people are interested, go to the website. I have the Here's Johnny Media Ranking Excel or Google Sheet. So if it's on Stream Queens, I just put an asterisk below the film, like in the score breakdown that we did on Stream Queens, but I actually slot it in the Here's Johnny Reviewed Media Master List.
So cool. Okay, cool. So it'll be interesting to see where this ends up on your ranking.
I am very curious because, like I said, I'm excited to talk about this movie.
Yeah, I have no way of knowing how. Usually I can kind of guess which way people are going to go with these. Mm-hmm. This one is a real question mark. I feel like, it's not going to be middle of the road. I think it's going to be a hard no or a hard yes.
We'll
Emphasis
see.
on hard. I'm sorry. I'm gonna try not to troll you too much, Larry.
You're good.
I will
You're
say
good.
I was playing Legendary Encounters Aliens with Jody before the show, and this is one of her favorite movies, and she was encouraging me to try to find a game that makes you say dirty words. So your prudishness has become Stream Queen's lore at this point.
Yeah, I mean, anybody who got to be there along the journey for My Sweet Audrina, my live reaction,
it was amazing.
Had the audiobook read to me. Oh Lord, that was a journey.
Are you ready for a return to VC Andrews? Because I think that's going to be happening soon, and promises were made of a return to the.
I did say that if we went back to VC Andrews, I would come back for another ride. So
Okay, because we're gearing up for heaven next, and that's the one.
I'm
with
just
the live
hoping
baths
I
and the
can actually
butthole
find the
inspections.
paperback and not have to have someone read that to me.
See, I feel like that's part of the experience at this point. I feel like you have to go audiobook for VC Andrews.
Oh man,
You can't have the buffer of a boy voice in your head. Like you need someone who sounds 12 talking about like
God.
the things that happen in that book. But anyways, we'll save that for another episode. All right. So, as you guys always do on your show, we're going to start off with a little section of what you've been watching, doing, playing. I believe Justin has a little story for us in this section.
Guys, it's really not that interesting.
Right,
Okay, so on that case, you're on the spot. Justin, lay it on us.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I was playing I don't know, experiencing some VR chat today because, Rachel, you know, Randy and I have been talking.
Uh-huh.
And so I was like, oh, I'll like mess around with it. It's been a very long time. So I went into just like there's like a welcome room, basically. It's like the let's party room. So I was like, okay, yeah, cool. I'm sure there'll be lots of people there and it'll be fun.
This is in the metaverse?
It's in VR chat. So basically,
okay,
it's not the actual metaverse. That's a whole separate app, which I am interested to try out because apparently it's horrible. I went
First episode, you guys got it figured out.
I went into this thinking, okay, you know what? I'm just gonna go with the flow, right? Like whatever happens. And then a bunch of people were just like dancing, so I went up to them, had my mic off because I'm a creepy weirdo, and they were like, "Oh, hey, cool, Mr. Alien." And then they dropped a portal, and they were like, "Come follow us." And
no!
Okay.
Never follow them to a second location.
So I was like, "Oh, okay, cool, whatever." I did. I think technically now I've been to a VR strip club.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
They brought me to a strip club. And there was a Bart Simpson in a bikini dancing around, which was very weird.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
This is so perfect for tonight.
And then there was a, what was their name? Lady D was there.
Oh, dear.
From Resident Evil. Yeah, it was.
Oh,
it was
got
just
it.
It was weird. And then the slurs started coming, so I was like, okay, I'm out of here.
Like, Bart Simpson in a thong, yes. Slurs, I'm out. That's where I draw the line.
Yeah, it was weird. It was definitely weird. So I was like, oh, okay, well, hey, that was my day, I guess.
So, okay, I'm sorry. I have follow-up questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
So were the naked Bart Simpson... Were those actual other people in VR and like that's their thing they do and they go in there and they dance, or were those NPC? Oh
no, those were other people.
Okay, can you tip in VR? Are these people who are actually working, or is this recreational grinding?
It is recreational grinding.
Okay, so they're not even getting paid?
No,
Can you get a lap dance and will they give you the girlfriend experience?
They're just doing it for the sexual thrill.
I mean, if you want, I can find out.
Yes, I want to know. I have follow-up questions.
Okay, I think there's a way to like go into like recently visited portals, and I will go. I will do the research.
Which also is the name of the strip club.
It was really weird though. It was like,
can you screenshot in VR?
I don't know, but I
don't actually want to go to the portal, but I want to.
I can record it.
Excellent.
This is sounding like the beginning of a Black Mirror episode,
yes,
where all of a sudden
absolutely.
Justin just keeps going back, to
I
the recently.
I can't help it. I can't help it, guys. I have to go back. They miss me.
Oh my God, Bart Simpson. Something happened when you and Bart looked into each other's eyes. Oh my God. Wow, that's wild. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be surprised that if, anything you make is eventually going to turn to some sort of porn. So I guess I shouldn't be that surprised that the metaverse has.
Well, so that's so interestingly enough, after that is something I was like, I need to jump into the metaverse thing while it's new and like everybody's in it, because I want to see the weird stuff that people are doing.
That sounds like quite an adventure in the metaverse. I cannot wait to see what you discover next.
I will say I went and downloaded all the quote unquote metaverse social apps.
Oh, and
I don't know. They're downloading, and basically next time I get a chance, I'm gonna just float around and find out what happens.
So when you say social apps, what does that mean?
So there's like a bunch of these like social rooms. Basically, it's like, have you ever heard of like Rec Room?
No. I mean,
Okay.
like, I've heard of a rec room.
So basically, it's just like VR chat rooms, but like you can move and like do other weird stuff.
Okay. Other weird
Like-
stuff. Got it.
Yeah,
You can EJ. Got it.
yeah, you can EJ.
Did
But
we just coin a new phrase? Did that
yeah,
just
the
happen?
I
EJ.
think you did.
Oh no! Don't let this be my legacy. Okay. All right. Well, I await your latest dispatch because I have a feeling there's going to be no shortage of sites.
Oh no, it's gonna get wild.
All right. Awesome. How about you, Larold?
Sure. I watched some Dragon Ball Z movies.
You don't say.
Yeah. I watched a bunch of those last night when I was trying to beat Brilliant Diamond, because I'm not going to start Arceus till I beat Brilliant Diamond. I have the 8th gym badge. I just got to go beat the Elite Four. So I'm hoping to start Arceus tonight, but today I actually took a vacation day. Today for my birthday instead of Monday, because I have a big meeting I need to attend.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yay, you got the day off.
Justin and I watched The Day the Earth Stood Still. That was a patron force selection from Eddie.
Yep, listeners of the show know Eddie well.
Yes, and he actually sent us an audio clip from him explaining why he picked it, and we were talking about how
Awesome.
amazing his voice is.
Is it not the best freaking voice?
It's a really awesome
is
voice.
amazing.
It's
Yeah,
so good.
It's a
It's so good.
it's a great voice. And I have to get
Nice.
Bloodborne beat.
Good luck.
That's life.
How about you, Marzi? Seen anything good? Read anything good? Played anything good? Done anything
I finally watched all 3 of the Fear Street movies.
good? Finally!
Finally did it.
Finally! And they sucked, right? The worst.
Oh, awful. Waste of my time. No, I'm glad that you kept pushing that, because I probably would have, quote unquote, gotten around to it eventually, but
Yeah.
I was looking for something to watch last weekend and that popped up and I was like, you know what? It's time. I got to start actually watching the stuff that Rachel wants me to watch. And I'm not mad. It was good.
It's a good time. It's a genuinely good time, I think.
Yeah. And then just by chance, immediately after the 3rd Fear Street, I watched a movie on Shudder called The Last Thing Mary Saw.
Mm-hmm.
Have you seen this?
I have not yet, but I know about it.
And it was weirdly right on topic. And so I was
Really?
like, oh, the irony that I just randomly picked something that was almost exactly on topic, but much darker. It's good.
Yeah. I
We
got
might have to do
pitched
it.
to it, but I didn't get around to it. But we should definitely do it on the show.
Yeah, I was gonna say if you haven't seen it, we might have to do it for the show.
I will
It's pretty
now. I mean, I will wait. I will watch it with you. Yeah,
Good,
absolutely.
good. Oh, and I watched Slacks too.
Oh,
for
did
the
you have
first
fun
time.
with that one too?
I did. I was surprised. I didn't. Based on the description, I was like, oh, okay, whatever. And then I watched it, and I was like, oh, I've been missing out. This was fantastic.
It's so much fun. Have you guys seen Slacks yet?
I don't know what that is.
Nope.
Well, it has like a famous Canadian actor.
All right. Okay, we're continuing this.
Just kidding. I mean, it does, but I'm just fucking with you at this point. It's about a pair of pants that is killer. It's a killer pair of pants. It eats people. It's great.
It's really good.
It's actually really good. Okay, we all know some people love movies that are so bad that they're good. I have less patience for that. Like, I'm kind of Team Larry. I don't really enjoy bad movies that are good. I think movies that are good, and movies that are bad are usually bad.
Yes.
This one's pretty good. Even though on concept sounds like so bad it's good, it's actually just a good movie.
Yeah, it's actually just good. I was surprised. I was
Mhm.
expecting so bad it's good, but it's actually just good.
No, it's just really fun. It's a
Yeah.
fun movie. It starts off, you think it's going to be pretty flinching with its gore, and then
So-
it can't start eating people.
Yeah.
I love
So-
the eye pockets. Sorry. go
Oh,
ahead.
Is it like Rubber?
It's better than Rubber. Rubber
Okay,
is
good.
too conceptual. So we talked to the director when this came out, and it definitely is an anti-fast fashion kind of conversation about environmental and social impact of fast fashion. It's sort of the theme of it, but it's
Mhm.
presented in like a very fun, tongue-in-cheek, gory way. It's like fun, sort of garbagey, sort of B-movie, but it actually has a lot of depth to it. I don't know. I think you would like it. It's good.
It's a lot of fun. I really liked it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Awesome. So I haven't really been watching much of anything either. I did read The Hellbound Heart in preparation for this and really liked it and reminded me of how much I love Clive Barker's writing. So I've read a handful of his books but I haven't got around to the Books of Blood, which are what he's most known for. So I picked up a copy of that. I'm going to listen to that next. And then I tried to get through Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke by Eric LaRocca. You can't even get it at the library because it's just so freaking popular because TikTok blew it up. Have anybody read this thing yet?
No, but you
No.
told me about it, and I have no interest.
I've never heard of it because yeah.
Can't get through it.
What is it?
So it's
It's
about
gross.
these two women meet on like a queer, some sort of forum, and it starts off really innocently, and then they start engaging in sort of like a dom sub relationship over the internet. It's all
Yeah.
chat logs and shit. And right away, the dom is getting the sub to do these really fucked up things. And I got to a point where it was like an animal cruelty scene, and I was like, oh, I like barely got through it. And then right after that, it was like a baby torture scene, and I was like, why
Oh,
the fuck is
no.
this so popular?
Yeah.
But here's the thing: is I will stay the course if it's ultimately worth it. But no, I'm trying to get somebody who, not trying to get anybody to listen to it. But if anybody has, I need to hear: is it more of this? Is this that? What is making it so, because it's shocking, making it so popular, or is there like there? Because if it's worth it, I will persevere. But if not, because it's only 3 or 4 hours long. But if it's not, and if this is what people are signing up for, I'm out.
Yeah, that's.
That sounds rough.
Ugh.
It was rough. It was those two scenes, and then the next thing that she asked her to do was basically infect herself with a parasite. And so she was walking her through the process of eating rotten meat to get a tapeworm.
Oh.
So I was like, I think maybe I'm not the audience.
Honestly, when you were describing it to me, it just reminded me a whole heck of a lot of what's a book called we read, Justin? I'm blanking on it. American Psycho.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that
A lot of the time at
lovely
that one,
book.
we reviewed it, Rachel. Like it really felt
Yeah.
like we were just doing this to see who could gross the other person out the soonest.
This feels a little bit in that vein, but I mean, I see the potential for it turning into something interesting because it's very psychological about how love bombing works, and I don't know. There's some interesting stuff that's happening, but I'm worried that the people are freaking out about it because it's just so fucked up.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, no judgment. I like shit that's fucked up, but if that's all it is, then I'm like, I'm good. So I don't know. If anybody out there has listened to it, please let me know. All right, so Mars. So let's move on to our review of this episode. But before we do so, can you please give our listeners a spoiler warning of how we operate here?
So, we are going to spoil the whole thing. We're going to spoil it a little differently than we normally do. We're not going to go through top to bottom and talk about, all the plot points, but we are going to talk about everything that's worth talking about in this movie. So if you have not seen Hellraiser, I suggest that you stop and you go watch it now. Streaming on Amazon Prime. I think it's worth it. I mean, I went in so cold. I try to go in cold to everything because I
Same.
think it's more enjoyable that way.
Mhm.
And I mean, Hellraiser, Pinhead, these are things that if you watch horror movies, they're things that you're familiar with, even if
Right.
you've never seen it. And this is not the movie I was expecting.
Nope.
So if you haven't seen it and all you know is like, oh yeah, I recognize Pinhead, you should watch this Unspoiled because it is coming out of left field.
Right.
I will say, did anybody else's version say that it came out in 2019?
No.
No.
Oh yeah, it said it came out in 2019 for me, but I mean, obviously that is not the case, and it was.
Are
the
you a
correct version.
time traveler?
Oh my God.
Apparently.
Did you slip into another universe briefly where this movie came out in 2019?
Oh shit. Mandela. You okay? It's gonna be all right. We're gonna guide you back through the fog. Welcome
Hey,
back to this
you came
universe.
back to the right timeline. That's what's important.
Yeah. Is it the right timeline though? Really?
I don't know.
Oh man, take me back.
Part of me hopes it's not.
I know. Wait, is there a path to a different timeline? Can I follow you through
Would
that
you like to
portal?
go with me?
I will go into the strip club if it's a different portal, if it's a different timeline than this one. I will say that's interesting because this was pre and post you going through the portals. Maybe they really did guide you through a whole other universe. And this is all just a simulation anyway, so.
Oh my god, Black Mirror just gets more intense.
Black Mirror intensifies. Awesome. Thank you, Marzi. Okay, so now we'll start with, I guess, the background. So, Justin, you did the research for this one. Tell me a little bit about this here movie film.
Okay, so Hellraiser is a 1987 British horror film written and directed by Clive Barker and produced by Christopher Figg, based on Clive Barker's 1986 novel, The Hellbound Heart, which I know we talked about it, Rachel, but I haven't read it yet.
Okay. Did I send it to you? I don't think I did. That's my fault.
No, whatever. That's okay. Send it to me after this.
I will.
Wink, wink. The film actually marked Barker's directorial debut, which was very interesting to me. Yeah, it had a budget of $1 million, and its box office was $14.6 million. Did I say billion? I meant million.
Billion in our hearts, though.
Billion in our hearts. Clive Barker had to make some cuts during the film because the MPAA gave it a X rating originally. Mm-hmm. Apparently, two and a half shots were cut. One was the first murder with the hammer. And apparently it was just like a super close up of the hammer in the guy's head. Sweet. The second one is where Julia murders a guy. The actor who played the victim wanted himself to be naked during the scene, and they filmed it that way.
Wanted himself to be naked. Okay.
Yeah,
that's a very elaborate way to make the world look at your dong.
He felt like it made sense for him to be naked.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Right. He just wanted to get his dick out, you know.
Yeah.
But obviously they replaced it with a clothed version of that kill.
I wish there was just CGI boxers floating in front.
Oh boy. And then one of the other ones that was cut was a close up of Kirsty sticking her hand into Frank's stomach and pulling out guts and stuff. Ugh, God, which
cool.
Yeah. Apparently, the guy who played Frank, all of his lines were dubbed over by another actor.
I wondered.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah. Right. I couldn't find out who the actor was because it's still Sean Chapman who's credited as playing Frank.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm sure if I really, really looked into it, I could find out. But
go into the
how does
metaverse,
he feel?
Find
how
it.
Does he feel about it? Right? How would you feel if you acted in a movie and then it was no, that's not me?
Yeah, that would be kind of weird.
Right?
Yeah.
One of the other things was that in a post-production party, Doug Bradley was dismayed to be ignored by the other cast members of the crew, and it's because nobody recognized him without the makeup on.
Really?
Yeah. Which would suck. I mean, yeah, but...
especially because I feel like it looks like Doug Bradley.
Yeah. Well, exactly, right? It's... I mean, obviously, yeah, there's nails and stuff, and, a lot of stuff, kind of covering his face in a weird way, but I don't know. I feel like it looks enough like him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and then when Clive Barker first showed this movie to his mom, she apparently cried tears of joy seeing her son's name in the opening credits. And he apparently told her that would be the happiest she would be for the next 2 hours.
I'm curious to see. I mean, I guess there could be worse people to be the parent of in this because he's
yeah. But it's a nice, cute, weird moment, I guess. And apparently, Chatterer and Butterball actually had dialogue in the original script, but all the prosthetics and makeup, you couldn't understand them, so all their lines were given to the female Cenobite and Pinhead, which I didn't realize, but some places call the female Cenobite Deep Throat.
Yeah.
Which weird.
Yeah, she has 2 names. Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna call it Sister Nicoletta.
Wait, sorry, what is the other one?
Sister Nicoletta.
Yeah, I asked her earlier in the chat because I was curious because she was one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I believe you referred to her as vagina throat.
Vagina throat. I did.
So the only other like two real things I wanted to bring, because I want Larry to get to making himself uncomfortable talking about this movie, is apparently it took 6 hours to apply the Cenobite makeup.
Yeah.
Specifically on Doug Bradley.
Why?
Mm-hmm. So there's a really good episode of Behind the Mask. I don't know. It's the series that's on Shudder, and there's one on Pinhead, and they talk about the way that the prosthetic is actually attached. It is like full face prosthetic.
Interesting.
It's not just wherever the pins go in his head. It is an entire face on top of his face that has to be put together, and then all of the scars are the sort of lines where they connect. But over the course of his I'm not trying not to steal any more thunder here, Justin, so stop me.
Oh, what I know, go for it.
That over the course of the show, he'd had it put on so many times, he became the expert of putting it on, so he started applying it to himself.
Okay.
Yeah, he actually has a credit in, I don't think in this movie, but in the future movies, he has a credit as like the makeup artist.
Interesting.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a really great episode. I would highly recommend it. I watched it because Jodie suggested. She was like, you should, if you're getting ready for this, you should watch this. And she was right. It's really, really good and informative. And apparently it'll make you steal Justin's thunder. So sorry about that again.
No, you're good. The only other thing I really want to talk about was, apparently Doug Bradley had trouble hitting his marks because of the black contact lenses. Mm-hmm. So he's like always scared of tripping over his like skirts.
I guess that's probably like a bad combo. There's swinging chain hooks, black contacts, and a long skirt. Ooh. That could go real bad. So, Larry, I know the format is a 60-second synopsis, and part of the fun of this is the torture of a 60-second synopsis, but I'm torn between my desire to draw this out.
If you would like, I can do a slower review and allow you guys to enjoy it.
Okay, excellent. I think we're going to...
Well, if you go too slow, though, I'm going to EJ, okay? So just...
Okay. Oh, my Lord. Okay.
I got to keep bringing it up. It's got to be a thing now. Okay.
Yeah, right. I think the fourth time it gets referenced is when it's just locked into the forever. So if you get another chance, Justin.
So, the film starts off with our boy Frank buying a puzzle box from a mysterious man. And no, this is not going to be a Gremlins kind of movie. This is a different kind of prize he takes
probably
home.
Shouldn't feed them after midnight either, though, to be fair.
And immediately he goes home, strips down naked, figures out the puzzle box, and then the room fills with chains, and the Cenobites are there, and this man, we don't see it, but literally got ripped to shreds, and we see one of the most gory sequences like I have seen in a long time. And I've watched Saw with you guys just recently. I was shocked at the amount of gore. And when they pieced together his face, I was kind of prepared for his like maybe he'd still be alive, because what I understood of Hellraiser is that like these things torture you for eternity. That was also my understanding. So I was surprised to see he was like dead. All right, so time goes by, and Frank's brother Larry, which was unfortunate, and his wife Julia decide to move into this house. Christy, their daughter, moved with them, but decided not to move in with them. I don't know why, but she's in town. It is during this kind of move-in sequence where we realize that Julia is a bad girl, and she and Frank had a very intense and dark affair behind Larry's back. And as far as I understand, I don't think Larry ever knew.
No.
Not that it matters. No. Larry, when he's moving a couch and did not pivot properly, slices his hand, and for some reason it goes up to Julia like in like a state of anger and shock, like it was her fault. It was really weird. But anyway, he's bleeding all over the floor in the sex dungeon room, and Julia goes out to help him, and then we get one of the absolute coolest scenes I've ever seen, because the blood fell on the floor, and in the book apparently mixed with semen. And
sorry, continue. Sorry.
It's okay. And Frank is reborn, but he's like skeletal. Like he's just barely there. And he had escaped from the Cenobites, and Julia discovers him. And Julia is still in love with this Frank, and realizes that to bring him back, she needs to bring him bodies. So Julia starts going out to bars and stuff and bringing back men to revive Frank. Something I don't understand, we can discuss in plot, is I don't understand why she just didn't keep doing that until she like got him fully back, because all of a sudden it kind of switches where Kirsty, Mars Kirsty, I totally was going to do it again. Where Kirsty talks to her dad, and her dad's like, I think something's wrong with Julia. So Kirsty starts spying on her, sees her bring a man in there, goes into the house, and that's when she discovers that all is not right. Frank attacks her, tries to have sex with her, which was something, and she steals a puzzle box, runs away, passes out on the street, and ends up in like an insane asylum kind of situation.
It's a hospital, I think.
Okay.
What does Frank say to her when he wants to have sex with her?
Come to daddy.
Oh.
I felt
Wait,
really
Larry,
gross.
can you say that a little bit slower?
Come to daddy.
Oh God, no.
Ringtone, patrons.
So at this point, she's in the hospital. There's like, you're going to hang out here. We're going to figure out what the hell's going on. Like, you're covered in blood. We got to figure this out. And she starts playing the puzzle box, and she opens the door. She starts going through the door, and this, like... Have you guys played South Park Stick of Truth?
No.
I doubt it, right? Justin, have you played it?
Yes, of course I have.
Okay, so there is a boss in South Park The Stick of Truth that reminded me of this monster. You can delete this if it offends anybody, but it's Kim Kardashian's aborted fetus.
Oh my God.
And the way you fight it, like the way that game is, it's like side by side. So it's this big, like nasty, skinny, fleshy monster, and it literally reminded me of it, like immediately. So anyway, she gets chased by the aborted fetus down the hallway, closes the puzzle box, and locks it up. She goes back home because she wants to tell her dad everything, but too late. Frank and Julia killed Larry, and for some reason, Kirsty doesn't realize this, but Frank's like wearing his skin like it's a face-off situation, but like in face-off, there's no surgery scars, right? And this one, you can literally see the pus like coming off of like where the skin was attached to the face. And again, I don't understand why they didn't just keep doing it. Oh, I forgot something. The Cenobites were at the hospital. And the Cenobites are like, you summoned us. We're going to take you to a world of pleasure and pain where all eternity you're ours. And she's like, but wait, like someone escaped from you. And they're like, who? And they're like, Frank. And she's like, take us to Frank. So she goes home. Finds out that her dad isn't really her dad. Frank's wearing her dad's skin. Frank starts chasing around and kind of wants to do her, kind of wants to kill her to like finish his transformation. Accidentally stabs Julia and decides, well, fuck it, I'm just going to absorb all your essence too. So Julia gets killed on the stairs. They go upstairs. The Cenobites take Frank and rip that motherfucker apart again. And when his face is pulled apart and he's like staring at her, the practical effects in this movie are so amazing. Just so cool. So she's like, okay, I please the Cenobites to let me go, but no, the Cenobites want her too. She's able to use a puzzle box to send them away, tries to escape. The aborted fetus is at the door again, starts attacking her and her boyfriend, who shows up for absolutely no reason. I wish he never came. Like, it was stupid he was even there.
He's lame. Yeah.
Send him away. The house burns down in a really like weird fashion because there's like a chair just sitting there burning for no reason and like ashes, like there's no rubble. And she puts the puzzle box in a fire, and this homeless man who has kind of been in the background the whole time walks up, picks up the box, lights on fire, turns into this winged bat monster, flies away. The puzzle box returned to our creepy man in the cafe shop, and he's selling it to someone else.
Yep, that is Hellraiser, and not at all apparently what Mars was expecting. So
not even close.
So let's get into the plot of this. Marzi, what did you think about the plot of Hellraiser?
So, I mean, kind of what I already kind of touched on being like, I knew of the movie Hellraiser and I knew of Pinhead. But given that it's like, you know, what I thought was your standard 80s movie, horror, monster, murder movie, I really thought it was going to be more of just someone's Pinhead, and then they just spend the movie trying to escape him and figure out how to send him back to his dimension or whatever. And then when it was entirely not that, it was a pleasant surprise, because this was so much more than I thought it was going to be. I thought it was going to be just your standard, you know, 80s horror movie.
Totally agree.
Mhm.
And I was pleasantly surprised
Mhm.
by how, first of all, it didn't follow that standard procedure, but also it was gross in the best way.
Mhm.
It was so good. And I do like the plot structure. I like the pacing. There are some things where, standard of 80s horror movies where we're just kind of watching Kirsty sneak around the house a little bit long, things like
Yeah,
that. But there were
yeah.
so many really good moments in here. And I didn't love the end, to be honest,
Fair.
but it's kind of standard of the the puzzle box is back in circulation kind of ending. But overall, I was really pleasantly surprised.
Okay.
I was not expecting this.
Excellent.
So it's kind of hard for me to kind of go back to looking at this as like just itself because
Mhm.
I have seen the other ones
Mhm.
and I kind of know where they evolve from here. But,
For better or for worse.
For that, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
yes, that's a nice way of putting it. Yes, I think that this one by itself is the pacing for me for this movie is actually very weird,
Mhm.
but it works.
Mhm.
It's a lot of like stop and go, and it's like, but when it goes, it's like it's going like pedal to the metal, I guess you could say. I fucking hate that saying, but yeah, it's
balls to the walls.
yeah, it's going balls to the walls, man. But yeah, and then it kind of like completely slows down, and it just never lets you get comfortable,
Mhm.
and it kind of in that way it gets under your skin, which is honestly nice. Yeah, I don't know. I like how this movie plays out. I like the kind of like super hokey ending, where it's just like,
Dude, it was
the guy
Gremlins.
who
It was
was-
Gremlins. I was just
yeah,
laughing.
yeah. He was a demon. Personally, that's what I thought he was.
He's like box guardian apparently.
He always got a name.
There's lore about these creatures that are the guardians of the lament.
So I will say that is one of the most interesting things to me is that like this kind of sets a bait. Like I again, I haven't read the book, so I don't know if it goes more into it in the book.
No,
but
the way the story ends is Kirsty gets the box back essentially. End. So all this last act, or the last half of the last
Interesting.
act, is movie creation, but it's
So-
created by Clive Barker,
Yeah,
which is
the man who wanted
interesting.
to do
well,
it, yeah.
and it's weird knowing where some of the sequels go.
Mm-hmm.
Like Rachel, have you seen some of the sequels?
Some, yeah, I've seen
Okay.
the first 4.
Particularly the second and third one?
Yes.
Okay. So it's weird that he created a new narrative.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's
Don't
hard
spoil
not to
nothing.
talk about the other ones. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's hard to talk about the other ones with it spoiling it.
Yeah, no, let's save it.
Yeah, I don't know. I do like the way this unfolds, and it's. I think the fact that it was Clive Barker himself really helped because obviously he knows what he wants to say with his. It's his work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I think for a first directorial debut, I think it's a fantastic job, and it's a fantastic adaptation, especially for his first try.
Yeah. Considering it was a teeny tiny, no budget movie that they intended to put on home video.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah.
That is absolutely wild to me.
The moment we've all been waiting for.
So even though I am the movie guy over on Here's Johnny, there are a lot of classics that I haven't seen, and I'm kind of tackling them along the way with Justin, right? I saw
Yeah.
Alien for the very first time with Justin, and the reason why I never watched it before is because I thought I had some weird kind of like alliance to Predator, so it was stupid. But I ended up loving it. But we watched The Exorcist for our 100 episode special, and I did not like that movie.
That is a thing that happened. Yes.
Yeah. And then recently we watched Aliens, and I did like it, but not as much as I wish I could have to be there with Rachel and her love of it.
Mm-hmm.
I had this similar to Mars. Like I was not expecting what I got when I sat down to watch this movie. I fucking loved it.
Yay!
Like from beginning to end, it took so much self-control to not look what happens in the movies coming next, because I want to continue to be surprised.
Uh-huh.
Like, I looked at the comics a little bit, I read about the book and stuff, but this was great. Like, I loved, like, the spurned lover finds her man again and, like, wants to bring him back. Like, I really loved that dynamic. Like, I like Kirsty being the person who's discovering this, because, like, the way she discovers it kind of makes sense. Like, she's not living in the house, right? So, like, this shit wouldn't be that apparent to her. I like all the characters, except for, like, when I say I feel like all the characters are very true to what we expected them to be.
Mm-hmm.
The Cenobites were very intriguing, and I want to know more about them. Pinhead was probably, like, my least favorite. Maybe it's because I already knew him or knew of him, but, like, Deep Throat was probably my favorite.
She's great.
I liked Butterball. I liked the way he looked like a giant, like, molded thumb. The Chatterer, like, they were just all super cool, and, like, I just felt like the story, like, took its time. It similar to, like, you think back, like, when we meet some of the most iconic horror emblems, right? Thinking Michael Myers, thinking Freddy Krueger. Like, we don't see a lot of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're kind of held back, and that's kind of the way of the Cenobites. Like, their screen time is probably less screen time than what Anthony Hopkins had when he won the Academy Award in Silence of the Lambs.
Mm-hmm.
They hold him back really well, and I just loved it. I thought the plot, I'm a little bit afraid to go further because I don't know what's going to come next, because
Same.
I liked the very cyclical nature of it, where it's like the box knows there's these deviant monsters out there, and it's like, sure, come test your limits. And these just masochist demonic monsters are just coming for you, and, like, they don't know when to stop, right?
Mm-hmm.
And man, I don't know.
You mean, so when they broke their agreement, that didn't surprise you, or did it?
Did it surprise me? So a little bit of yes, a little bit of no. So one of my favorite book series as a kid, and I've reread it since, it's called The Devonatas, from an author named Darren Shan. It's young adult, but it's literally based around this one lord demon who has, like, put a curse on a family. In order for them to break the curse, they have to beat him in a game of chess. There's more to it than that, but that's kind of it. But the thing is,
the general synopsis.
Yeah, but the thing with Lord Lost, who's the demon in that, is that when he says something, it's true. Like, no matter what he says, it is true. So I was kind of looking at the Cenobites similar to Lord Lost, so I was a little bit surprised. But these things are just so far beyond our understanding. Like, these aren't really demons, right? These are, like, an extra dimensional, like, monsters.
Mm-hmm.
And
right, yeah.
I don't know, man. I loved it. Like, I will watch this often. I think this will be like an October watch, because I really, really enjoyed it, and I thought it was really cool. And the fact that Clive Barker got to bring his own story to life, and we'll talk about more as the cinematography, but I also thought for a first-time director, it was pretty good. It was 80s shtick, but it was pretty good. And the gore. Mm-hmm. And I don't know. I really have nothing negative to say. I liked all the characters. I thought the characters worked well. I think they established who they were when we met them, their kind of personalities and how they interacted with each other. And, like, Frank's this deviant fucking monster, so when he tried to fuck his niece, like, yeah, okay, that follows. like it's fucking gross, but, like, yeah, sure, but that's
come to daddy.
That's the journey we're on, and I don't know, like I am going to be reading this book. Like, I have to finish one for my friend Matt, but this book has now entered my stack, and I loved it, and it's in a way of, like, I don't know, like, because Interview with the Vampire, I liked that movie the first time I saw it when I was a kid, and I tried reading the book, and it just didn't do it for me. I don't think I'm the target audience for Anne Rice, but that's fine.
Fair.
But this one, like, I don't know. It's right up there with Alien with me. It's like one of the ones I wish I had seen sooner, but I'm kind of happy I didn't, because I was really able to enjoy it. And it's really good, and I am just terrified. I've heard good things about Hellraiser 2. Mm-hmm. But that is the only other one I've heard good things about. I've heard this shit derails in a bad way. And when I saw on Wikipedia, there's like 9 of them. Like I'm like I honestly kind of just want to stop here and just let this be it because like it was just
No.
You want to see the second one.
I know, but what I'm
Yeah.
saying is like I loved it. Like it was just good, and there was also that relief that I wasn't going into like this BDSM softcore porn movie where I was going to talk about it with you three for like 2 hours. Like I really wasn't ready for that. I don't know if I ever could be ready for that. And man, I'm just so happy. Like this was such a fun movie, and just all around, I really liked it. I really, really did.
Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad. I mean, like, here's the thing: is I like to troll you. I don't actually want to torture you. Like, I don't want to make you think.
You
want
want to make me watch some of those
unhappy.
ones, the dildo, the Amityville dildo, or whatever they were talking about.
I mean, not yet.
Excuse
we got to
me?
work up to it.
Yeah. What?
Do you not know about
Excuse me?
this?
Who was talking about that?
No.
There's a whole franchise, Justin.
So, I don't know if you've had any real. I mean, aside from when you were on the Christmas special, I don't know if you've had a lot of interactions with one of my co-hosts on Zombie Girls, Sarah.
No.
So one of her things that she does on the Zombie Girls is occasionally, and we're hoping to make it more of a regular feature in 2022. But she does a master porn theater where she reviews a horror themed pornography. So she's done the Amityville dildo. She did I can't remember all of them, but she's done a handful of them, and we're always scouring the internet for more. I think we have an Edward Penis Hands review coming
Jesus
soon.
Lord.
Has she done the Hellraiser one?
No, not yet, but I think maybe we should get her on for that. Yeah, that's important journalism. That is.
That's what we're calling it. Okay.
Mars and I will just listen to that one later, I think.
I don't know. It's fun. We want to get her like a smoking jacket and get a camera on her so she can do like a full
Set her in front of a fireplace.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, her wife is not thrilled that we've turned it into a regular feature, but you know, anything for art, right? Right.
Yeah. But yeah, like that was like a big fear of mine too. So like it's everything just kind of worked together and came out well. And there's some issues with audio, but as far as plot goes, nah, this was really good. I am excited, and it's just like Mars already mentioned, like there's just apprehension about seeing it derail.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's going to.
And
I can assure you.
And I don't know if you felt the same way when you watched the first Saw, Rachel, whereas like that's like a good movie. That's like a good film. And you just know that train is just heading towards a brick wall.
Yeah.
And
I think you just have to get into the joy of how bad it's going to be and have fun processing it, and just do a little separation from the original, because Clive Barker is not really involved with the later films.
I was going to ask, at what point did he bow out? Like,
I think after 2.
Okay, so similar to James Wan,
because
where he had
3
a little
is
bit of his hands in and then he dipped out.
Very different vibe. 3 is a very different vibe. 4 is interesting.
Okay.
After that,
Well, so that's the thing is they're not all bad, right? Because they do, some of them have interesting takes on some stuff, but don't get me wrong, Larry, some of them, they're so bad.
Yeah. But we'll get there. Sorry,
I will kind of semi-spoil one. There is one, I believe, based around a video game.
Oh, no.
Yep.
So, plot. Yes, I mean, obviously, I love this movie. Part of the reason I wanted to do this is because it's so fun to share a movie that you love with other people, you know, that haven't seen it for the first time. But there's also a lot of trepidation, right? Because you're like, are they going to just totally trash it? And it's fine. People are allowed to have differing opinions. But there is a special feeling of just being like, yay, you love something I love, and I got to talk you into watching it. Yay. So that's really fun. But I think a big part of what I love about this is that it is such a rejection of sort of that 80s puritanical attitude towards sexuality. That was a decade just full of these slashes that equated sex with death.
Yeah.
You know, especially it was during the AIDS crisis. And so for like a queer filmmaker to come out and make this movie that talks about how complicated sex is, rather than sex equals death, sex equals bad, that there is like parts of sex that are very dark. But for instance, Kirsty is a sexual person. She
Yeah.
has a sexual relationship in the film that has absolutely no ill effect. There's no social stigma around it. There's no punishment. She has not become a victim or vulnerable to being a victim because she had sex
Her
with someone.
dad's almost
It's-
like supportive of her at the dinner when she's like flirting with the guy.
Oh my god, that was so
That was
awkward.
awkward.
that was a little weird. That was a little weird. But I mean, there's a lot of little weird and a lot weird in this. But I think that, yeah. But I think for that time period, especially, it was kind of a rejection of that kind of attitudes around sexuality.
Mhm.
And I think what's great is that it's sort of presented as this is going to be another slasher film, but instead it's something totally different. We go in a totally different direction. It's almost gothic horror with, you know, a bunch of arcane stuff. So it was unlike everything else that was trending, but it was kind of presented as, it was like a, what do you call it? Not a bait and a switch, but like in a good way, where like they bring you in and then like present it with something totally different. It's a rejection of all
and
of
it kind
that
of bounced off of that. I was going to
compelling.
say this for cinematography, but a big thing for me that I like too. You mentioned this like with Dragula, like I've watched RuPaul and it's cool, but like the thing about Dragula is like I like how it's like regressive is the wrong word. It's like that really darker
Subversive.
This is
it's extremely subversive.
Yeah, it's a subversive side of like queer culture because like I think now,
Mhm.
especially since it's become so mainstream, which is a good thing. Like it's all like been glamorized and capitalized and like mass sold. So I prefer this like darker side of it, and like I can definitely see what you're talking about with the Cenobites and everything. And I don't know, I was gonna say for cinematography, but it's the way this movie looks and the gothic nature of it all. Like, And I didn't know Clive Barker was actually queer, so I did not even know that, and that makes a lot of sense.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually really cool to know that.
Yeah, a lot of this movie was actually taken from his time in the 70s when he was doing sex work and going into a lot of SM clubs. He himself is kind of in the middle of the spectrum in terms of personal kinkiness, but when he was doing sex work, he would go to these things and he saw the nights where, you know, like it was more of a party atmosphere, and then there was the nights where it was like serious SM, where like they did not have drugs or alcohol or anything because they were doing like actual blood stuff. They were, you know, like cutting and piercing and doing stuff like that. Yeah. And so that a lot of that inspired him because he wanted to sort of talk about how sex is sort of the great equalizer. He met politicians and celebrities and judges, but once you get into these spaces where it becomes sexuality, like we're all just people. So that was also kind of a part of what he was talking about. Yeah, I really love Julia. We have not talked about her yet, but she's such a great sort of villainess in this.
Julia's character could have I was going to say this for audio, but we talk about, I guess in plot makes more sense. Her character could have so easily have been like that cheating wife, accomplice kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But there's so much more to her. And when I read that she was supposed to be the villain, I was very bummed out because she is the villain in this movie. Like, yes, you have the Cenobites and yes, you have Frank, but she is the architect. And she meets her end because she put her faith in Frank and she shouldn't have, and she should have known better. But I think seeing her come back and being the face of this franchise would have been really cool. Like I said, Pinhead was cool, maybe because I already know him from like pop culture, but he was not the Cenobite or the character that like stood out to me.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think part of what makes her so compelling, like you said, there's much more there. She could have been a cookie cutter character, but like in the story, all of what she does, which is it is partially based in lust, but it also is a deep sadness and a loneliness. And in the book, it talks about she has this realization when she has a chance to be with Frank again, that he broke her heart when he disappeared on her. He crushed her heart, and she's ever since then been mourning and trying to put her heart back together. So like what she does is monstrous, and there is no excuse, but it gives a level of humanity to a character that I think in other hands would be just like a mustache, like, I don't know, like mustache twirling villain. I was trying to think of another hair, and I was like, you know what, Rachel? There has to be a line. You have to stop.
But yeah, like so often we see that character being like the spurned housewife, just kind of lets things happen to her, but she is an active participant in trying to change her world for better. I mean, the actions she takes and the world she's trying to recreate for herself are very dark and awful, but
right. And that is a toxic relationship she's trying to re-enter.
100%. But like it's just different. And like I liked her. Like I said, I I thought it was cool, and I for this to come out in the 80s, and especially with all of like the censorship and the studios and everything, they were trying to be forcing everybody. Like I don't know. I just really thought all the characters were cool, and like the character I cared least about, they spent the least amount of time on, which was Larry. Like I didn't really care more about him. He was part of the scenery, right? And
yeah, you were like, do better by us, Larry.
Yeah, and it was just I don't know.
He was so creepy. They're almost sexy, and I was like, I felt like her. I was like, no, I can't bear it. No, I can't get him off her.
Yeah, you're right.
I loved all of her sort of seduction scenes in the bar. Her whole aesthetic, her whole 80s villainess
David Bowie
aesthetic. Oh, with the gigantic earrings and just the absurd shoulder pads. I was like, oh my! This is pleasure and pain for me.
They could easily have casted David Bowie in that role, and it would have been like shot for shot. Like,
okay, then I would have EJ'd. So it's for the best. There it is. But yeah, I loved all of her eyeshadow. The whole aesthetic.
It was so good. It was so good. I was there for it.
All right, so let's get scores. Starting with Justin, what is your score for the plot?
My score is an 8.5. I actually really like this movie. I've always loved this movie. I think it's just, I don't know, it's just something classic about it.
How about you, Marzi? What's your score?
I gave it an 8. I also really enjoyed it. Not even just beyond the surprise of this isn't what I was expecting. I actually just really liked it.
So, yeah, I'm going to give this a really high score. I think that there's a little bit of goofiness at the end with the re-putting the puzzle back together, so I can't give it a full 10. But I'm going to give it a 9.
The end did not bother me. Like I said, it felt like Gremlins. It felt like a cyclical nature where it's just going to keep on going. I loved it. I gave it a 10. I had nothing negative to say. I really, really liked it.
The elusive 10! Jody's going to be so happy. We were kind of like, oh God, he's going to hate it. This is your 2 favorite movies. All right, awesome. All right, now let's move on to visuals and things we like. Let's start with you, Marzi. What did you think? Visuals.
I cannot get over the grossness. It's so good. The practical effects are amazing when Frank is reborn from the floorboards. Oh, and even when he's fully out and he does that crawl with the limp legs. And, so creepy. And the Cenobites are all so good. The weird hallway worm monster thing. So gross. So great. I loved all of the practical effects stuff. And then even non-practical effects, there's some stuff like the first time Julia murders a man and then she's washing up in the bathroom and she looks into the mirror and gets that crazy look in her face, on her face. There was a lot about this visually that I just was so into. I don't want to take everything, but I can't get over the practical effects. Oh, and when Frank's face is getting ripped apart the second time and he licks his lips. And,
he's so gross.
So gross in all the best ways. But I think my favorite, for me, the standout is Frank being reborn from the blood in the floor and the apparently semen also I didn't know about until today.
Yeah.
Oh, the way those legs come out or the arms.
The shooting out of the floorboards.
Yes.
It's just, I've never seen anything quite like it. And it looks like when you watch time-elapse videos of plants bursting out of the ground.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
Excellent.
I've nothing, I don't know. Maybe I'm just getting too wrapped up in the practical effects, but oh my gosh, I loved it. It was so good.
I feel like it is like the Thing quality of that scene in particular, but nobody really talks about it in the same way. So I'm so delighted that you enjoyed that. How about you, Justin?
I think the Frank Reborn scene is like the scene in this movie. I mean, it is filled with like a lot of these like great practical effects scenes. But that is like the scene. I think it's just, it still looks fantastic. And it just like, it makes you feel uneasy watching it. And I liked every time Frank killed somebody, obviously he like comes back a little more. I loved each like stage of that. I don't think there was ever a stage where I was like, oh, he kind of looks goofy. No, like every single stage looked really good. And I don't know, you also kind of see, as he progresses to be more human, we see, oh my God, I'm blanking on her name. How can I blank on her name? Julia. Kind of degress as a human, right? Like she is kind of like losing herself as he is.
Good point.
right? Like she's kind of like she's getting crazier, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you can like tell just by like how she's acting and like how she's looking even in those scenes. She's got like the crazy eye, right? Like I hate saying that, but she's got the crazy eye after a while.
Right.
I do think the demon at the end, the box guardian, was a little like hokey, but I think it
was very
fits.
end of Golden Child.
Yeah.
But I mean, I think it works though for this, and I mean, you have great scenes as that man before he transforms when he's eating like the bugs
Oh my god!
in the pet,
I was
the
going to
pet
talk
store.
about that. Yes.
So just like disgusting. And I mean, I think this movie kind of revels in its like disgusting nature, but it never like lingers on it too long. I don't think so anyways. I think it's like just the perfect, it shows you just enough to make you feel uncomfortable and like appreciate it, and then it's gone. It's on to the next thing.
It doesn't feel like it was used as like, oh, we're going to gross you out, so we're just going to do stuff for the sake of grossing you out.
Yes, exactly.
It felt well used. And
like everything had a point, right? Like there's a point to everything. Nothing was like, like you mentioned, it wasn't like a Hostel, right? Where it's just like here to gross you out. It's like that happened for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like, this is gross for a reason. We're using this to develop this movie better, and not like, we just want to make people squirm.
Yeah, exactly.
You know?
And I think like all the Cenobites look great. But Butterball has always been like a weird standout, not like a standout to me, but he's always like looked weird to me.
Mm-hmm.
Big old thumb.
It's those teeth.
It's because he looks like the thumb, right? But like, but it's just weird that like the rest of them have like this like overwhelming, like terrifying presence, and then he just looks like a rich guy who looks like a thumb, who is like, he bought his way into the Cenobites, basically.
Either that or he's the little schlemiel they let hang out, and then they kind of like smack him around.
Yes, exactly.
Like make him pick up all the parts. He's got to go do Butterball work.
I don't know. He's just like always like stood out. I mean, obviously, no, I can't say anymore because I almost spoiled something. But
Nope.
But I don't know. I think the Cenobites look fantastic. I think all the deaths are like really cool, and like we don't linger on them. Like I said, the deaths in this are very quick, obviously, except for when Frank gets pulled apart by the chains. Even that was like I loved it. I think it was disgusting, but I loved it.
Yeah, the aesthetic of this with all of the SM stuff is really amazing because, I mean, for one thing, it was something that was not very much in pop culture at that time. So I'm sure it was like, if you saw this in 1987, your brain was probably like, if you were not in the culture, or I guess a big Judas Priest fan, because he also pulled all of his aesthetics from Queer King.
Did.
So stylistically, I think it really is cool. In that, I was telling you about that documentary on Shudder, they're talking to the costume designer, and she's talking about the design and the creation and how the point was to create these windows where you could see like torture had either occurred or was still actively occurring. I don't know. It's very arresting when you look at it. It is unforgettable. Pinhead's design is unforgettable. Whether he's your favorite or not, he is iconic looking. And I feel like, it's one of those things where there's only a handful of things that really kind of stand the test of time as being totally wholly original, and I feel like Pinhead is definitely that. Nothing that came before him looked like that. Nothing that's come after him has been able to kind of do that thing that he has done, Well,
and I think there's a reason why he's like a cultural icon, I guess, is like a weird way to say it. Like he's a horror icon, right? It's because of his look.
It's because of his look. I also think his performance is pretty great.
His fantastic is.
Yeah, and I know I'm getting
performance
ahead of
is fantastic, but
yeah. So I mean, aesthetically, I think it's really cool. I loved all the '80s ridiculousness because, of course, I did, and the scene with the bug eating, the fact that the way that the grasshoppers look were both, and this is something that I think is a through line through the entire film, is just this mixture of grotesque and glamour. They're beautiful. They're actually beautiful insects that he's eating. If you look at them, they're like yellow with black and white spots all over them. They're like beautiful, but it's paired with this revolting that he's like shoving handfuls of insects in his mouth. I don't know. I love the way that the aesthetic plays. Also, like sort of thematically plays with this idea of pleasure and pain, grotesque and beauty. Okay, cool. So Larry, how about you, my friend?
So you
What
guys
did you
covered
think
like
visually?
all the ground, right?
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
You want to
Sorry,
talk
not
about
sorry.
hell? I guess we didn't talk about that. We can talk about Frank's
but
bullet.
basically, you guys like
We can talk about the sex scene, Larry, your favorite. Right?
Yes, that Teddy
for
cut off her.
a 80s film and for a first director, he had some of the tropes, like Rachel, you talked about, like the shtick, and that was there, but it was fine. Like I don't mind that at all. It was the gore, and it was the use of gore, like someone else said earlier. It was the use of gore without it being like a Hostel or like a later Saw film where it's meant to repulse you. It all fits in this world that they have created, and it's crazy because it starts off with that bloody room, right? But it just feels like this is the vibe, this gothic, nasty vibe of the film, and it works. I liked it.
Yeah, I thought of one more thing.
Okay.
The 80s lightning. I love it.
Oh, yeah.
The 80s lightning is super, super rad. The hand drawn on lightning. And then the hallway, which we may see more of, but what are the Kim Kardashian fetuses or whatever. I love that with the obvious matte painting. I don't know. Those are some 80s details that maybe don't necessarily work as effectively as they did, but they have developed a charm for me. So,
and I will always take practical effects over CGI every single day of the week. So,
of course,
absolutely,
unless it's hand drawn on lightning, then I'm into it. Awesome. Okay, well, let's get into audio where we can talk about the scores. Fuck! I'm not even drinking tonight. What is my problem? All right, scores. Marzi, what was your score for visual?
I gave it a 9.
Nice. And Justin.
I also gave it a 9.
And me, screw it, 9. Larry.
9.
Okay, now we may proceed into audio. I'm gonna write a note to myself. Ask score. All right, audio. Marzi, what did you think of the performances in this here movie film?
So the two standouts for me are Kirsty and Julia. I was surprised by Kirsty being our main protagonist because she's introduced later, and the way she's introduced, I really thought it was going to center on Julia, and Kirsty was just going to be that side, her husband's daughter who doesn't like her stepmom kind of character. And she became that, like, she was so much more than that. And I really appreciated a lot of little moments where they didn't have her do what I thought, typically they would have a female protagonist do. Like, there's a scene where she's sneaking away from Frank after she's just, discovered Frank is wearing her dad's skin. And she opens a wardrobe and that Jesus statue pops out. And she doesn't scream, she just kind of grabs it so it doesn't make a sound and then slowly eases it back in. Or when the Cenobite comes out of nowhere and pukes maggots on her and she doesn't scream because she's hiding. Or it's after they get Frank and she realizes the Cenobites want her too. And she turns around and Pinhead is standing behind her and she just goes, shit! And there are just so many moments that I don't think are typical for a female character in an 80s horror movie. But my particular favorite is after the a little bit too long hand slap game she plays with the fetus over the puzzle box, and she gets it back, and Steve immediately tries to grab it from her. Right. And she just slaps his hand away, and is like, "Come on, man!" I love that moment, and there's just so much that she does with her performance that is not your standard scared girl in a horror movie, and. I mean, she's scared for sure, but she's also, gonna get out of this. So she's trying to figure out her way out. And I loved what they did with her character. And I was pleasantly surprised by her. Mm-hmm. Same with Julia. Again, starting this movie, I really thought that it was going to be about Julia battling Pinhead. And then, it quickly became not that. But what I liked with Julia's performance was the more, like Justin mentioned, the more she was bringing victims for Frank, the more she was herself changing. Mm-hmm. And it gets to that point where she's just kind of sitting on the couch, drinking something out of a tumbler, and just has that evil look on her face, and they're watching boxing, and Larry's like, "Oh, I thought you didn't like this kind of violence." And she's like, "Oh, I've seen worse." And they made her into this reveling in violence kind of character. Mm-hmm. And I really liked the way that character, because I also felt like the development into that different kind of perspective was also really well paced with the movie. So it didn't feel like sudden or rushed. It felt like it developed alongside with the plot, and I liked the way that was handled.
Mm-hmm.
Those were my two favorite performances in this movie. I was real surprised in just the best way.
Yep. How about you, Justin?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that there's like really. This is kind of hard for me because I love like all of our main characters.
Mm-hmm.
I think they all do a really good job. I think it is like the boyfriend and Larry who kind of fall to the wayside a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it is because we have these like great main players, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Especially Pinhead and Deep Throat. And I feel like if we could get some dialogue out of Chatter and Butterball, I think they would have kind of been raised up a little bit too, because I mean, obviously they don't speak, right? So it's kind of hard to judge their performance, I guess you could say, like, because it's just they stand there and one of them goes like,
great.
Yeah, they're great lurkers, which I don't know if is like is a good thing or, but yeah, no, I think that when we do hear Pinhead and Deep Throat, I'm sorry, I don't remember her other name.
Sister Nicoletta, but we'll accept
Deep Throat. Or as Larry called her, the vagina throat.
Yes. She knew exactly what I was talking about. That's all I got to say about that.
I did.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
I did.
I'm happy you said it before I did. But no, I think that, I mean, both the time, or not both the times, but the couple times we hear them speak is like terrifying, and they have this like great presence behind them. And I mean, yeah, I think the daughter does fantastic. Julie is like amazing. I do wish that I wish there was a way to make her and the Cenobites like the future of this franchise and not just the Cenobites. I think she would have like carried on great, especially in like the future when they kind of need her because the Cenobites get a little ridiculous.
What do you mean, CD head?
I was. That's the one I almost ruined earlier. So, yeah.
Oh no!
Oh yes.
Oh no!
You wish that was the worst.
Yeah, that's not the worst one. It
no!
It gets wild.
Yeah.
But no, I think they did do a fantastic job. I think personally, I don't think the theme to this is like super outstanding. I think it's okay, but I don't think it like really punches like some of the other franchises. Like, I mean, your Halloweens or your Friday the 13th. I don't think it like hits that hard.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. Don't get me wrong. It's good, but it doesn't like, it's not super memorable.
That's fair. Fun fact about the score. They actually commissioned a score from a band called Coil.
Yeah.
Oh, you already looked. Sorry,
Yeah. No, you're good.
Okay.
No.
It was like the one that Clive Barker wanted to use, but they, for budgetary reasons, cut it and went with a house orchestra or whatever. I personally think that the score is pretty great. It's not reaching iconic status, but when you hear sort of the piano parts during the resurrection, you're like, oh yeah, I do remember this from the movie. But you can actually go on YouTube and find, if you look up Coil or unreleased Hellraiser soundtrack, you can listen to the original soundtrack because they released it as part of one of their albums.
Interesting.
Oh wow!
So yeah, if you're curious, it's out there. I didn't have time to listen to it, so I'll talk about it on the next episode. Awesome. All right, how about you, Larry? What did you think of the audio of this movie?
I was really impressed. When I watch an 80s movie, I'm always prepared for schlock. And Justin's right, you do get that from like the Larry character and the boyfriend character, but luckily they're very limited. They're very periphery. Like they're there and they serve a point, but they aren't that important. I loved Julia's performance.
Yes.
I loved Kirsty's performance. I loved all the Cenobites. I know Justin said he wished that Chatter and Butterball had talked. But like for me, it's kind of okay. Like you can have your minion.
Well, I think it's okay that Chatterer didn't, because he's obviously got like the mouth stuff going on.
His mouth is busy.
Yeah, his mouth is busy doing something else. But Butterball, man, he's got to do something.
Anybody else? So I put this in the Zombie Girls Discord, but people were all busy talking about Gillian Flynn. But Did anybody else watch Josh Kirby? Huh?
No, I was just laughing at we were busy talking about.
Oh. Did anybody else watch Josh Kirby when they were kids?
I had never heard of it, but it looks
I don't know what that is.
wild.
We have
because I watched the trailer.
Me and my sisters had this like VHS collection. It's about this kid with like a cute little monster thing, and like they time travel, and they're trying to get these stones. They're getting traveled through space, and Butterball looks like a villain in one of those movies. So like he was like, I had not thought about Josh Kirby in 25 years, and for some reason it immediately brought it back to me, which was very strange.
Isn't that weird how those things can just like
so
trigger
weird
wild...
and like and now it's somebody else who's seen it to like yes, this existed. You
way in.
but yeah, I thought all the performances were great. I'm excited to see more of Pinhead. I know we're getting more of him. Again, he wasn't the standout Cenobite to me, but that's fine. I am happy to know that Frank's lines were dubbed over because it was weird. It was weird and it was throwing me off, and it makes a lot of sense. So that did bug me. I understand it. I wish I knew why. And
I know why.
Why?
So basically, it was supposed to be taking place in London. This is what makes it confusing because it's unclear where it is.
It's in London, right?
It's supposed to be. I mean, it's supposed to be, but then they wanted to change it to America, so they overdubbed some of the actors' accents, but not all of them.
Okay, because they said they went back to Julia's home, so I figured they were back in Britain since she had that thick accent. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. So that's what's happening there.
Okay.
Just low budge, poor decision making, but whatever. Just adds to the uncanny.
It sure does, and it should, because Frank, we've seen him in the past. It's a recollection, so that it made. That's why I didn't know if it was like an aesthetic choice or what it was. So that's fine. Then the theme is really good, but similar to the Conjuring theme is also very good. But if you asked me to hum it for you, I couldn't. If I heard it, I would know it. And
that's what I'm saying. Like it's good.
Yeah,
Don't get me wrong.
It's B
really
tier.
good, but
it's B tier.
Yeah.
It's not Halloween. It's not Scream. Like you hear a red right hand, and you know immediately you're in Scream, right? You hear John Carpenter, you're immediately in Halloween. It's just not there. And no, again, I was prepared for 80s schlock, and I didn't get it, and I was really, really happy. I also posted an image to Kim Kardashian's Nazi aborted fetus, if you wanted to see what I was talking about, in the chat.
Oh, yeah, I looked at it.
All right, I'm clicking. Will I regret this? Probably, but here we are. Oh. That is, some choices were made. Okay, yeah, I can see some similarities.
Yes, and
yeah.
Again, like this is probably, of the categories we've gone so far, my least favorite, but not by a lot.
Yeah, I loved Doug Bradley in this so much. I know he's not everybody's favorite, but I just think there is this. It would be so easy to let go, like full demon with it, but there's something
reserved,
gentlemanly and restrained that is so much creepier because it's just
100%.
coming from this horrifying mutilated face, but even the mutilation itself is so regimented and perfectly aligned in this way that makes him, I guess that's the difference between monsters and King, right? Is that there's like a design to it.
Yep.
Aesthetically, it's just so unforgettable and iconic. But I think I love we didn't really talk about the hospital scene, but I love the scene where he appears and he just is like, you know, it was a mistake. People have made mistakes before, but you called and we've come.
Yep.
So you're coming with us.
I am excited to see more of him. That is the one thing that's going to keep me wanting to go forward, is to see him
good
evolve.
News. You will see more of him. You'll see more of him and you'll like it?
I almost watched Hellraiser 2 right after I finished this.
Really?
I know that you wanted to do it as a series. So I wanted to wait for it. But I literally almost put it on immediately.
Okay, excellent. So I just loved that sort of restrained performance. And I love that he's a different kind of monster. If you think about Freddy or Jason or Michael Myers, mostly Michael Myers and Jason, not Freddy. They're these silent, hulking monsters, right? And that has its kind of element of fear. And they dominated that decade. And then, you know, Freddy spoke, but you couldn't have a conversation with him.
Not until later films.
Yeah. But what's interesting is Pinhead appears to be someone who could be reasoned with, that he could strike a deal with him. There's something Faustian about him, and to some degree.
I definitely think that Darren Shan got a lot of inspiration for Lord Loss from Pinhead. Like, after seeing this, like, I'm almost certain.
Who is this?
The guy who did the Demonata series.
Oh, okay. Got it. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, and I do think that some of this is, like I said, very Faustian. So I'm guessing that, Clive Barker's pulling from some other references
for sure,
as well.
For sure.
But I don't know. He's just so unlike any other villain especially from that time. So I love Pinhead. I love Doug Bradley in it. I think he's terrifying. He also looks a little bit like an ex-boyfriend that I have, which is troubling and erotic.
Rachel.
I don't know how to feel about it.
Wait, hold on. Erotic.
Whatever.
To daddy.
Title of your autobiography: Troubling and Erotic.
It would like it, yeah. Anyway, moving forward. So yeah, I love that performance. I think that Julia is a camp demon, and I fucking love it. And I think Kirsty is a smart, grown-up final girl in a way that she's not rewarded for her purity or for her male-adjacent behavior. She's just like...
They didn't try to recreate Jamie Lee Curtis. They let her be her own thing, and it worked really well.
Right. She's just another way that this movie really subverts the sort of mainstream.
If there's a sequel to the Final Girl support group, I hope we get one of her characters.
Right, that'd be good. Yeah, so let's get scores, because that's a thing
Rachel.
that we do.
Nice.
Mars, what is your score for audio?
I gave it an 8.5.
All right, Justin.
I also gave it an 8.5.
All right, Larry, lay it on me.
8.5. Like I said, it was the lowest yet, but somehow help me, Justin, do it. Like, if it's not iconic, you can't get the full points, and then
Yeah, you can't give it a 10.
the overdubbing
was
also weird.
Yeah. Trying to think. I feel I didn't write down my scores this time. I've been just kind of like gutting it out, and I think
That's how we always do it. That's how we always do it. Here's Johnny.
Okay, well, that's good. All right, you know me, usually I take more extensive notes, but I don't know why. For some reason today I was just like, I'm gonna wing it. I'm Mars.
You know what's weird is I took extensive notes and I wrote down my points and my scores beforehand. I never do that.
It's like how your cats used to change personalities. You and I just did it. Are we in a different timeline? Did we all cross over?
Hey, it is the third film of 2020, so you never know.
Right.
All the rules are out. We learned that in Scream 3. That
is
and Harvey
true.
Weinstein.
Oh.
That is right. That is correct.
And
And I have been feeling an overwhelming urge to take the scissors to my bangs. I guess I should have this as a warning not to do it. I'm not kidding, too. I was like, maybe I need bangs. No, I don't.
No.
Do it.
No.
Do it. Just like Courtney Cox. Do it. Don't be afraid.
I'm gonna give this. Yeah, I think 8.5 is fair because of the good but not iconic score. And yeah, 8. Let's go 8. 8.5. I mean 8.5.
8.5. Okay.
All right, cool. So that just leaves how scary this movie is. Justin, why don't you go first this time? How scary is this movie?
This movie holds up in ways that other movies don't, and I think it's because, I mean, a lot of the movies from the 80s have a heavy reliance on these practical effects, and I think it works really well. And I don't know, there's something like really creepy about Frank, and when Frank was in Larry's body, and it was just like skeezy and got under my skin. I think the Cenobites, even Butterball, are terrifying. The like weird
poor Butterball.
Yeah, poor Butterball. The weird like hallway monster. I forget what his actual name is.
No.
What's that?
I said I don't actually know. I mean, now he's just Kim
it's just
Kardashian's Nazi fetus. Like that's canon now.
Yeah, I think like even he's terrifying. I mean, Julia gets scarier as the movie goes on. I think the way that the Cenobites just kind of like show up it's just like super creepy, especially because they are like these extra dimensional like beings who thrive on pain and pleasure, right? So it's like it's scary that even though Kirsty did everything they wanted, they still were like, no, we're gonna take you anyways. Yeah, I don't know. I think this one. I'm sorry if you heard Luca.
I was like, Luca has opinions.
Yeah, He's always got opinions.
I love him
Cat.
so much. You have no idea.
Well, one day I'll get some more pictures, I promise.
Yes, God. Pleasure
no,
and pain. I got to see one picture, and it's been nothing but pain ever since.
That's where I go. You peek and back off, right? That's...
Are you edging with your cat?
I mean, Larry, you had to know this was going to go somewhere. Right?
I feel like we've been very good tonight.
Yes, exactly. It had to come in somewhere, okay? But no, I think this movie is like genuinely terrifying. And especially knowing what's coming next, I think, not to give too much away, but I think this is the scariest the series is going to get.
Yeah.
I don't remember the like scariness, if you will, of 2, but I know after that it's kind of up in the air a little bit.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think this movie holds up really well in like the quote unquote like house scary of it. Yeah.
How about you, Marzi?
I actually thought it was pretty scary.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those, like, the things that's now in my slideshow is the end of Frank's rebirth when he's crawling across the floor and his legs are limp and it's just the arms, and in the way it was lit, so he was mostly in shadow, but just enough was seen so that you could be like, oh, that is not okay. And it immediately, like, in my head was one of those things where if I came across this,
no.
I mean, my soul would exit my body.
Yes.
It would be like, and we're done here. There's nothing else for us to accomplish here. Next turn, please. Thank you. And the concept that the Cenobites seem so structured, they seem so purposeful, and then the fact that they go back on a deal like, oh, we knew from the beginning we were going to go back on this deal. Until they do that, it feels like one of those things that you can be sure of, where you're like, well, but Kirsty made the deal, so all she has to do is fulfill her end, and then she's good. And then they're like, oh, we're sorry you thought that. We're going to take you to hell heaven now. Thank you. Scary. So I actually found this movie pretty scary.
All right, cool. How about you, Larry?
Similar to both of them. Like, I do agree. The gore was fantastic. The pain and like the way they showed it was all really, really great. The body coming out of the floor was just going to be something that I'll never forget. And I'm actually surprised in all like the comp videos I've seen of like the best scares, the best scenes from like horror franchises or horror movies. I'm surprised I have never come across that before. That was the first time I've ever seen that, and that's really, really good. But for me, I know Justin, whenever he and I review movies, like the house scary is always very different for he and I. And for me, I think the thing that really kind of resonated with me and definitely made this scarier than I was anticipating it being is that for as gothic and dark and like pseudo-religious that this is, I could see this happening in the real world, right? Like there is no puzzle box, but there are these complicated relationships people have, right? And I think I think the Julia character is so much more realistic.
Sorry, I will mute myself.
No!
Is so much more realistic than like the woman who just lets the world kind of pass her by. Like that's just not how women are. It's not how anybody is. And so like the fact that she was trying to make a change and the fact it was a toxic relationship, which also rings true too, it felt so real in a way that I wasn't prepared for when I went in to watch it. And then the Cenobites, they're just intimidating. And like I'm a little bit afraid, because even though I'm excited to see more of them and I know they have a larger role going forward, the fact that they were so like kept in the shadows and had this very minimal impact, it's the same thing I felt with like Silence of the Lambs, right? Like Hannibal Lecter is this elusive character we get very little interaction with, and then you have Hannibal, and you just get so much of him, and it just kills you, right? And it just kills the mystique behind it. But I don't have that yet. All I have is this, and I thought it was great. I thought it was scary in a way, like I said, I wasn't prepared for. And the scariest thing for me is like this does not seem that far from real. It seems like it's just a shade off of the world we actually live in. And I know everybody else doesn't like it, but the cyclical nature to me, even though I did make the joke about Gremlins, how it kind of continues in a circle, that also seems real too, right? Like the puzzle box wants to be opened again. Like the Cenobites want someone to call them and come play. And the fact that it's just going to keep happening. Like these people have their experience with it, but it's going to come again. And I don't know, that kind of shit always sticks with me. So
yeah, no, I don't mind the box at the end. I was more just like we get this monster, then this monster, and then she's doing that's the part that was like, this is a little goofy. But I agree with you. Actually, it's the same thing at the end of the Shining movie where the Overlook is still standing because somebody else can fall back into that trap.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think this movie is extremely effective, which is my new stand-in for scary because I'm dead inside. But I think the way that it uses gore is still really effective, even if you're someone who thinks you've seen it all.
I thought I had to. I thought Eli Roth had shown me all I was going to get, and that this movie starts off and just shows me that oh no. And so I think that really works. I think the psychological part of this is really effective, and I think you nailed something that I hadn't really put together, was how it's just sort of a shade off of reality. You take the magic out of this, and this could be a really upsetting psychological family drama. 100%.
And I think that lends itself to making it more disturbing. Mm-hmm. This isn't disturbing in a way where you're like, "Ooh, I need to take a shower," which I think maybe you had anticipated. Yes. It's more disturbing in a way of like, "Ooh, this feels a little too
like this stuff happens."
Yes.
Yeah, these kinds of really upsetting family dynamics and exploitation do occur.
100%.
And then I think, the design of the monsters are really cool. I think I remember being, 14 and watching this at a slumber party and it rocking my fucking world, even though I didn't get it. I definitely didn't get it. And I feel like this is definitely a movie that you see as a kid and you think it's one kind of movie, and you see it as an adult and you're like, oh, this is a whole different kind of movie. And so you get it twice, and that's always a lot of fun, I think. But by far the scariest thing in this movie is Frank's nails and thinking this guy's gonna go touch a vagina with those nails.
I know, and how Julia wants him to touch her too. Like that's how deep her love runs for him. It's a lot.
I mean, he is like a yeast infection machine with those fucking nails. They're so upsetting.
He's just blood and semen. That's all he is.
So yeah, I think this movie's really scary. So let's put a number to it. Mars, what's your scary number?
I gave it an 8.5.
Nice. Luca, what is your scary number?
Meow. 8.
Larry, what's your scary?
I gave it a 9. Like I said, the thing for me, similar to you, Rachel, like I've seen so much and like the jump scares and stuff stick with you, but for me it's more like how real things similar to like, what's that movie? Gerald's Game, right? Where it's just like, this could happen. This is a little bit shade off of that, but yeah, I gave it a 9. I was really, really impressed.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 9 too. I think it's very effective.
All right, to review the scores then for plot,
yeah.
I gave it a 10. Justin gave it 8.5. Rachel gave it a 9, and Mars gave it an 8. For cinematography, got 9s across the board. Similarly, in audio, we got 8.5s across the board. For how scary, I gave it a 9. Justin gave it an 8. Rachel gave it a 9, and Mars gave it an 8.5. That gives it a Stream Queens final score of an 88%.
Dang, that's a good score.
In the Here's Johnny list, it is actually tied with several things. It is tied with the Blair Witch Project.
Wow.
The Evil Dead remake.
Shit.
The Forest video game.
Amazing. These are amazing things to be tied with.
Season 1 of Haunting of Hill House. Right above it, we have Alien and Aliens, which both have 89s. And right below it, we have the 2018 Halloween.
Amazing.
That's a good spot to land.
Great spot to land.
I feel good about it.
Literally love everything you named.
Yeah. Again, for how nervous I was going into it, I had such a great time. I really, really did.
Oh, Larry,
I did too.
That's so awesome. I'm so glad.
To be honest, going into this, I was kind of like, yeah, this is a movie we're going to watch. I didn't feel strongly either way, but I'm so glad we did this. I would not have watched this on my own probably, because again, I had written it off as this is just your standard 80s horror movie. And it is not. It is not your standard at all.
It'll be interesting to see what Bruckner does with this, right? Because he's not doing a sequel. He's not doing a reboot. He's going back to the source material. He's going back to Hellbound Heart. So we're going to see a new version of Julia, a new version of Kirsty. Or we won't see a new version of Kirsty. If he goes really yes, but it'll be
not his daughter
Kirsty.
Yeah.
I don't know which way he's going, but we're going to revisit this. When you were talking about I hope they really maximize the Julia of it. Maybe.
Now I'm excited.
Oh!
First of all, I didn't know that there was going to be a reboot until tonight. I don't know.
That's all right.
What conversation I missed, but whatever. But I'm super excited now to see what this new take on it is going to be, or this new whatever edition, or whatever it's going to end up being. I'm excited now.
Yeah. I'm very curious what David Bruckner is going to do with it, because the Night House was really scary, surprisingly scary, and he took a really standard sort of haunted house thing and put a really interesting spin on it. So I'm curious to see what he does with Hellraiser. I guess we'll find out. We just gotta wait for that release date. Come on, Hulu, let us know.
Does it have a 2022 release,
yeah.
Or is it just oh, okay,
yeah.
Interesting. I wasn't sure if it had a kind of a blanketed year release date yet or not.
I mean, I think they may even be done with production on it. I think it might be in the can. They've got a full cast on IMDb, but there's no names attached to them except for Pinhead.
Yeah, from what I was looking at online, it does look like it's closer to being done and coming out than what I thought. October.
I'm guessing we're going to get it in October. Yeah, I'm guessing we're getting it in October. I guess that's it for the review. So, Marzi, back to one of our format things. If you were going to, when you watch this again because you liked it, what will you be partaking in? What do you recommend people partake in, adult beverage wise, while watching Hellraiser?
So I also came prepared for this one, Rachel.
Oh my
and how
God!
many years I've been doing this, and I planned ahead.
This is weird. I don't know how to process this.
Am I growing up?
Am I regressing? Are you Franking and I'm Juliaing? What's going on?
Are we slowly Freaky Friday?
The slowest Freaky Friday ever.
Anyway, so I actually thought about this sort of ahead of time. I mean, I thought about it today, but I still showed up to the show with it already in my head. So, it's a white tequila, first of all, but it's something that I just recently got to taste because I actually bought it as a gift for someone else and then was encouraged to try it, and I did. And it's amazing. I don't know if you're tequila fans, but it's the smooth, doesn't need a chaser, super, super good. But the reason why, and I'm about to post the link in the cast chat, is because of the bottle it comes in.
Oh, this thing's gonna be kinky.
It is called the Sangre de Vida Corazon Blanco Tequila. I just sent the link.
So, blood of life.
Oh my God, that is
wicked. Rad.
Oh man, perfect choice.
So for everyone who cannot see it, it's a white tequila. It's delicious, by the way. I'm not even a big tequila fan, and I did not need a chaser. It's so good. But the reason why I chose it is because it comes in a bottle shaped like an anatomical
Rachel,
heart.
you have to bring that with us.
Rad,
it is.
Oh, we're drinking this in Michigan.
Just pass it around the fire.
And
yes.
The glass bottle is red. So, I mean, because the tequila is white, but the glass bottle is red. So it's even this beautiful color. It's amazing. It's so good, but the bottle is really, really what brings it to this conversation tonight.
Yes. I mean, all the reviews are like, this is so smooth. Oh my God. Oh my God.
It's so good. It's crazy because I'm not really a tequila fan, but I tried it and I was like, I'm prepared to breathe fire after this. And instead I just breathed out.
I just breathed in more.
Yeah.
Dang, this looks rad. And it's perfect. It's the Hellbound Heart.
It's the Hellbound Heart.
This is so good, Mars. I'm so impressed.
Look at me doing my homework. I still drank during this entire podcast.
I didn't even ask you, what are you drinking
steps.
tonight?
I'm on my third White Claw right now.
Ooh, what flavor?
I'm on tangerine currently. We started on pineapple, moved to mango, and now I'm on tangerine.
Ooh. God, you are just having a delicious alcoholic fruit salad over there, and I'm very jealous.
Oh, it's amazing.
I always get too drunk on these, so I was like, okay, tonight, Rachel, you got to be sobs. It didn't really make a difference, so I'm drinking again next time. Awesome. Okay. So we did get some listener feedback. I think maybe we'll save this for the next episode because there's a video element and it is it comes from our listener.
A video element?
Yes, our listener Doug has provided us with a video that he thinks that Mars it should be the first of your foot fetish videos.
There you go.
And it involves stepping on hard things and soft things. So look forward to that on the next episode.
That is Patreon content. That's when you get Mars's poor face in a Zoom call and have her watch it.
Right.
Oh, I think I just felt my organs.
Well, I mean,
shudder.
that's funny that you say that because he's trying to get us to do this. He's like, if you want to make money on Patreon, there is a whole series of things you can do. Like you have Mars. Well, originally it was have Ariel do a foot fetish video and that would be the first video. And then Mars would watch it. Mars would react. And that's the next video. And then I can't remember what the other ones were, but I want
to stay friends with Ariel.
You're like, you want to be able to look her in the eye again.
Yeah.
So we'll save that for the next episode. All right. So, but if like our friend Doug, you want to send over a message or a foot fetish video, whatever the case may be, you can do so by emailing us at rachel@zombiegirls.com. You can hit us up on our Facebook page. You can find us on Instagram and Twitter at ZG Podcasts, plural. If you're looking for something spooky to watch tonight, you should check out our video on demand and streaming calendar on the Zombie Girls website. That's grrlz.com, where we keep track of all the spooky doings happening over on the various streaming platforms as well as on video on demand. And if you like the show, leave us a review on Apple Podcast or wherever it is you get your podcast from. Also, if you're on Spotify, they now allow for star ratings, and it would mean a whole bunch if you would go in there and leave us a good star rating.
And title your review "Come to Daddy." So you heard it here.
And if you love us and want to support us and want to tell us come to daddy in a totally new forum, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/zombiegirls, where you can enjoy all of our extended episode. Lots of content. I'm guessing these two guys are going to show up quite a bit. So if you want more of Justin and Larry, and who doesn't, you can do that probably by joining our Patreon. Speaking of more Larry and Justin, plug your stuff.
Yeah, so we are the Here's Johnny podcast. We have an episode that comes out every single Monday. We are currently in an Alien season. Like I said, we just reviewed The Day the Earth Stood Still from one of our patrons. We're tackling it all. We're getting into like the newer Alien material. We're going to talk about X-Files here soon and Signs.
Ooh.
And yeah, we have a lot of fun stuff coming up. And you can find me on Twitter if you want to follow me at BeaverLA. That shows that Here's Johnny Cast. And Justin is now more professional, and he is at _Justin Wood.
No, _Justin.
Oh, are you not? Yeah. Are you not what was it? Pickle thing anymore? R.I.P. Pickle Thing.
I know. Well, I decided I needed to be more profesh, right? JIC. So.
Yeah, no, I get it. I just updated my Twitter and stuff.
I felt so like shitty doing it too.
It hurts,
like,
doesn't it? You're like, no, I have to have a personal brand. Fuck this.
Right? Like, well, and the thing is like, okay, so it was Pickle Thing, which is like, oh, ha, could be kind of weird and dirty, but no, it's actually like based off of like my favorite kids book.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, Pickle Things is what it was called. It was like basically a book about pickles. I don't know. I love that book.
Prefer Black Mage Justin. That's how I will always remember you as the VV loving Final Fantasy person from across the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I wish I could get Black Mage Justin, but no, I unfortunately signed up for Twitter a very, very long time ago, immediately forgot my password and lost that email, so I can't get that back.
Oh, so it's out there, it exists, you just can't access it?
Yeah.
You need someone to hack the internet for you, because you need it.
Yeah, at this point, I'm just like, eh.
I do like that most all of your names on various things are food. Like when we play Faz, your Ranch Joyride?
Ranch Joyride.
And then I can't remember what Luke's was when he played on your laptop, but it was also
lip butt. It's a lip butt.
Oh, lip butts. Okay, no, it wasn't food related. My bad.
I mean, hey, whatever it can be. I guess in a weird way.
Poutine Daddy too is someone who uses
Poutine Daddy. Yep.
Oh my god, guys! I think I got a weird food thing going on.
I love it.
Is food? Find yourself Friday.
Is food my brand?
Food is your brand. You should be writing food.
You should write a review about the best kind of snacks to pair with certain video games.
Ooh. That should be an element of your
Like you're
reviews, for
settling into
sure.
place in like old school Final Fantasy 7 and you gotta get yourself some Cheetos and like Mountain Dew.
Oh, well, no, it can't be Cheetos. Cheetos are too.
Not if you're grinding.
That,
If
like,
you're
mucks
grinding,
up
you
your-
only need one hand on the PS1, my friend.
What are you doing with that other hand?
Eating Cheetos.
I mean,
Sorry. It was a masturbation joke, but I realized
You're
that.
talking to the prude, remember?
Oh, Larry and
Yeah.
I are innocent. We both
Yeah.
went with Cheetos, dude.
I was going to go
I
Funyuns.
thought you were
but-
EJing all over the
Oh,
place.
no!
there.
Okay, what else do we have to wrap this up?
All right. So, for those of you at home with one hand in your Cheetos bag, next week we will be reviewing the film Alone, which we discussed last time. Alone is from 2020. It is the one about the woman in the car, not the other weird post-apocalyptic one. That one is bad. This one is good. Do not watch that one. Watch this one. And the description is: a recently widowed traveler is kidnapped by someone only to escape. And no, this is a very spoilery. That's right. I made up my own one.
I remember the first time you did this, you had to make up your own kind of synopsis because the synopsis is very spoilery.
Yes. Okay. So this is about a woman who has just lost her husband, and so she is moving, and she goes for a drive alone. Hence the title. Along the way, she comes across another person in a car who starts seemingly following her, and some spooky doings and cat and mouse follows. So check that out. We'll be reviewing that on the next episode. Hey everybody, Rachel here, just chiming in because even though I just spent a couple of minutes telling you all about how we're going to be covering the film Alone on the next episode, we're actually not going to be covering it on the next episode. Mars is going to be out next episode, and I want to save that movie to review with her. So instead, Justin, who you just got to enjoy listening to for this whole last episode, is going to be stepping into the co-hosting role for that episode, and we are going to talk about another Clive Barker classic, Nightbreed. So, if you've watched Alone, don't despair. We will be covering it soon. The way it's going to work is we're going to cover Nightbreed the next episode. The following episode will be Hellbound Hellraiser 2. And then the following episode, I pinky promise, will be Alone. So if you watched it, great. We're going to talk about it. If not, watch Nightbreed, and we will see you back in another 2 weeks with our review of Hellbound. All right. Back to me talking about Alone, probably. That's it, unless you were sticking around for the extended episode, which I definitely have an idea for, and I'm not going to just wing it. Does anybody believe that? We are out of here. Which of my lovely co-hosts today would like to take us out?
Mars.
Mars it is. Mars, take us out.
Thanks for listening, everybody. I hope that you watched Hellraiser before you let us spoil it. And then I hope you listen to the rest of this and listen to us talk about it because it was so much fun. Go watch Alone. It is streaming on Hulu, and then we'll be back and we're going to talk about it. So thanks for coming back. Good night, folks.
Bye, everybody.
See ya.
Try not to EJ all over the place.
Or do. We don't kink shame. We don't kink shame.
Live your life.
Luca would be so disappointed in you right now.
I know, that's probably why he's meowing. He's like, oh, come on, really? Yeah.
Thanks everybody for listening, and to Mars for always being willing to geek out about horror movies with me. Production on this episode was done by yours truly and edited by Ariel Messman-Rucker. And our theme song for the show is Die Historic by 3 Chain Links. Hello everyone, and welcome to the extended episode where the sausage is about to be made, because that's what we're going to talk about. I'm going to get out my calendar. Woo, baby. This is my kink right here. A handwritten calendar. Let me just thumb through.
So I am down to do it. I know Stream Queens is if things are only streaming. I know Hellraiser 2 is. I didn't look any further than that. Are you going to break that rule?
I'm
for
pretty sure
this?
they're all on Prime.
They're
I
not
think.
all on Prime, but here's the thing. It's like in a situation where we're like, technically they can all be streamable. You might just have to rent them. So can you access them on a streaming platform? Yes. So
How often do you guys record Stream Queens?
we do it bi-weekly. So I have us on for the next one for Hellraiser 2 on the 25th.
That's what I was going to suggest, is that maybe we just do it once a month and try to do it the last Friday of the month. That way it's like consistent and it's just an easy thing to remember. And if you just tell us, I'm sure Justin feels the same way, if you just tell us what we need to watch beforehand, we can easily do it.
Okay. So it would be the dates I have currently on the calendar tentatively are the 25th of February, and then also the 25th of March. Do those work for you guys, or does that
this far out? I'm sure it's fine, and I'll just book it.
Yeah,
but it's not gonna like intersect with like your recording day or anything.
We record on Thursdays.
Okay, cool. So I think we just need to decide too if we want to start double featuring at the 3rd and 4th, or if we want to do the first 4 and then start double featuring.
As someone who's never seen it, I have no idea. That is
so
yeah, same.
I mean, you've seen them more recently than I have. Last time I saw Hellraiser 3, I was like 16.
I don't remember Hellraiser 3.
It's
is the problem.
super
I know
corny
that's where
one.
it starts.
Yeah.
well.
Yeah,
Maybe talk to
so-
Jody, right? If she's the big fan,
yeah.
maybe she knows the best way to do it.
Right. I think we should do the first 4 individually, unless
yeah, because that's
we
the thing
get
is I know 4. I know 4 is like you said. It's from what I remember. It's interesting. It's like better than 3. But after that, oof.
And the other
Oh,
thing
no.
too is like, let's say the Hellraiser remake has a release date. Like, let's just say all of a sudden we find out that it's coming out like June. We can ramp it up.
Right. Exactly. So if we do, I'm kind of like scribbling in my calendar here. So if we do Stream Queens on the 25th of March, the next one would be like the next Hellraiser would be on the 22nd of April, a week before Martha's birthday. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah.
So 22nd. So this is Cast a Call. So if we did 4, it would be in May, and then we could do end of June would be 5 and 6. And then
Yeah.
7, 8, 9.
I would do 7. The way we did it is I would keep the last one as a full review, like almost like we have like a full circle discussion about where we started, where we ended. Then so 7 and 8, and then do 9 by itself.
So wait, so it'd be 5, 6, 7, and 8, and then 9 by itself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that works. That works for me. I was just thinking the 2 non-Doug Bradleys would go together.
Wait, he isn't in the last 2?
Oh, his character's in it.
Intriguing.
He got he gets recast. I mean, it's also been like a man in his like 60s. But also like they're like at some point they're just like, let's hold on to the franchise rights. Let's just spit some bullshit out. Like it gets real bad. It gets real bad. So that's why I'm also kind of like we might want to just slam them together. Hopefully.
It's weird that I'm kind of excited for the bad one.
Yeah, I think sometimes watching the bad ones sucks, but talking about the bad ones is fun.
And I feel like maybe it'll make, I mean, it kind of highlights the good ones a little bit because you're like, this is what it could have been.
True. In retrospect, think about how much worse it could have been. Yeah. So, okay. All right. I will sit down with my calendar and actually put dates on there. But if you guys, if once a month and then putting some together sound good, that's exactly what we'll do. I'm excited about this. I love our little mini seasons.
I agree.
They're fun.
Should I try to make Randy draw something?
I mean, this is the first time Stream Queens has done a mini season.
See the Larry and Justin influence. I swear, the power of your influence, changing up the whole show.
We're doing your structure. We're doing your mini season.